Welcome to the Growing Food and Feeding People podcast. Whether you're a backyard gardener, a market gardener, or a small-scale farmer just starting out or a seasoned grower, this show is for you. Join us as we share tips and tricks, tactics and hacks for growing food for yourself, your family, and your community, as well as sharing stories here from the field and other growers and farmers making a difference in their local food webs. My name is Cody, and I will be your host, so let's get growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Growing Food and Feeding People podcast. Happy Monday, and I hope the sun's shining as bright where you are as it is here, because I know I worked myself up a sweat out in the garden today. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today we are jumping right back into our companion planting series, and we are going to dive deep into the concept of companion planting with fruit trees. Now, this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, because that is one thing that we're wanting to add a lot more of right here on the farm. We're actually turning one of our annual blocks into perennials and berry bushes. And then behind that, I wouldn't exactly say we want to put in an orchard, but we definitely want to put in a handful of fruit trees that we can start to enjoy here in a few years. So today we are going to dive deep into the fascinating idea of companion planting with fruit trees as well as berry bushes. So we're going to examine all the benefits of this practice and identify the best plant partners. And for those residing right here in Zone 5B where I'm at, we've got some fantastic fruit trees and berry bush recommendations tailored just for your region. So throw off those gardening gloves and let's dig in. Now, if you're new to the series, we will cover a few of the basics real quick. What is companion planting? Well, it's actually time-honored gardening practice of growing different plants together for mutual benefits. These advantages can range from enhancing growth, health, as well as the productivity and attracting beneficial insects, deterring pests, and improving soil fertility. So today we're going to break down how to implement companion planting effectively in your garden, focusing on the fruit trees and berry bushes. So let's dive deep into companion planting with fruit trees. Now, fruit trees are not just a source of delicious produce. They also contribute to the aesthetic appeal and overall ecosystem of your entire garden. Did you know that you can actually enhance your fruit trees' health, growth, and productivity even further by pairing them with the right companion plants, just like we've talked about with the veggies and the herbs and the flowers, right? Fruit trees can be a centerpiece of many gardens. They offer shade and beauty and, of course, the delicious fruit. They're also great team players, benefiting enormously from having the right companions. Now, these companions can actually help your fruit trees become healthier and more productive, leading to a much more bountiful harvest. Now let's go over some specific pairings and talk about why they work. Now the first group I want to talk about here are your herbs and fruit trees. Now herbs are highly aromatic plants that not only enliven your kitchens, but also our gardens. Their scented foliage is a draw for beneficial insects, making them excellent companions for fruit trees. For instance, basil acts as a fantastic natural pest repellent, deterring aphids, tomato hornworms, and beetles, which can be detrimental to your fruit trees. Thyme, on the other hand, is known for attracting pollinators and promoting cross-pollination, and hence boosting your fruit production. So let's take a look at some fruitful herb tree relationships. The first one is basil with citrus trees. Now the strong scent of basil can repel the pests, like we said, the aphids and your whiteflies, which often plague your citrus trees. The second pairing is chives with apple trees. Now, we love growing apple trees around here in Michigan, and chives can actually help deter the pests such as your aphids and mites, while the purple flowers will draw on your pollinators. And the third pairing I really like is thyme with fig trees. Now thyme's small, fragrant flowers are a magnet for the bees, which really helps enhance the fig tree pollination. Now let's jump into our second grouping, and that is flowers with fruit trees. Now flowers bring much more than just beauty to your garden, as we've talked about. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we did a whole episode on it. But they also have practical benefits too. Now marigolds, as you guys know, are one of my favorites. With their vibrant colors and strong scent, they actually help deter the nematodes and other pests, while your nasturtiums can help repel a variety of insects and are often used as trap crops, distracting aphids and beetles from your precious fruit trees. Now you can use calendula to attract your beneficial insects like your ladybugs and your lacewings that control the pests naturally. Flowers are a vital part of a biodiverse garden. I include them in the triple threat combos. Their bright colors and sweet nectar attract a host of beneficial insects, while their varied scents can deter the pests. So here are some flower tree pairings to consider. Marigolds with peaches. The pungent smell of the marigolds can help deter the nematodes and other soil pests, as we've talked about, just like with our tomatoes, right? It does the same thing with the peach trees, protecting the roots of your peach trees. So marigolds with peach trees are a fantastic pairing. Now the second one is calendula with cherry trees. And we grow a lot of cherry trees here in Michigan. And calendula's bright flowers attract a range of beneficial insects, including ladybugs and hoverflies, which will help manage the pests in your cherry trees. And the third pairing is nasturtiums with apple trees. Now nasturtium's bright flowers not only attract pollinators, but also act as a trap crop for aphids, protecting the apple trees from these pests. So there's 3 great flower tree combos. Now let's jump into the third section, which is legumes and fruit trees. Now I like to companion plant legumes all over the farm. And this includes the beans and peas, which have a unique ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen, enriching the soil around them. Now this supplemental nitrogen benefits fruit trees, just like it will your vegetables, promoting healthy growth and a better fruit yield. The legumes actually form a symbiotic relationship with bacteria in their roots nodules to fix nitrogen from the air into the soil. So this natural fertilization benefits nearby plants, including the fruit trees. So let's consider these legume tree pairings. Clover with apple trees. If you guys have been following the channel, you know that I've planted some clover out in our garden right now as a cover crop to actually prep a few of our beds. And I think I'm just going to plant right into some of that. But clover is also fantastic with apple trees. Clover's low-growing, dense foliage acts as living mulch, retaining the moisture and suppressing the weeds, as well as its ability, like we just talked about, to fix nitrogen benefits to apple trees, a high nitrogen demanding crop. Now the second pairing is peas with cherry trees. Again, the peas are going to fix nitrogen and provide a ground cover that suppresses the weeds and helps retain the soil moisture, benefiting the cherry trees. So those are 2 great pairings that I'm actually going to be implementing right here on the farm. Now the fourth one is actually berries with your fruit trees. Now berries and fruit trees make an excellent team. Strawberries, of course, will act as a living mulch, protecting the soil from erosion, retaining moisture, and suppressing the weeds. Raspberries and blueberries, while producing delicious fruits, can attract a variety of pollinators, aiding in the pollination of your fruit trees. So berries can definitely make great companions for your fruit trees, providing ground cover and attracting beneficial insects. So here are a couple berry tree relationships to consider. Think about doing strawberries with your fig trees. Strawberries provide a dense ground cover like we just talked about, so that'll help keep the soil moist and suppress the weeds, which is very beneficial to the fig trees. And the second pairing here is raspberries with your pear trees. Raspberries can provide a natural trellis for vining crops and attract pollinators, beneficial for the pear tree. And then the fifth section is vegetables and fruit trees. Now you may not have thought to actually plant your vegetables with your fruit trees, but certain vegetables can also be fruitful companions for your fruit trees. Lettuce and radishes, for instance, with their shallow roots, provide ground cover without competing for dense soil nutrients. They also attract some soil pests away from the tree roots. Carrots can break up compacted soil around the tree roots, allowing better aeration and water penetration. So some vegetables can deter pests and add nutrients to the soil, making them great companions for fruit trees. So here are a couple vegetable tree pairings. You could try planting some lettuce with your apple trees. Now lettuce will act as a living mulch, of course, conserving soil moisture and deterring the weed growth. So great place to grow some lettuce in the shade is actually under your apple trees. And the second pairing would be carrots with cherry trees. Carrots' feathery foliage can provide a microclimate that retains moisture, very beneficial to the cherry trees. And of course, breaking up the compacted soil around the tree roots, allowing for better aeration and water penetration to the cherry tree like we just talked about. Now let's actually talk about some specific pairings and additional fruit trees for Zone 5B. Now we've covered a few of these, but I've actually got a list of 9 fruit trees here that you could consider growing right here in Zone 5B. So the first one we've talked about a little bit, and that is apple trees. Now consider companions like chives and yarrow to attract beneficial insects, and clover to add the nitrogen to the soil. You can also plant dill and marigold as effective pest deterrents for the apple trees. The second one is peach trees. Now pair them with garlic and chives to repel your aphids. Parsley can attract beneficial insects, and marigolds to deter a variety of pests. The third one is cherry trees. Now you know we grow a lot of cherry trees here in Michigan, like I said, and we could actually pair them with comfrey, a dynamic accumulator that brings up nutrients from deep within the soil. Dill and chamomile are also excellent for attracting beneficial insects, and you can plant borage with it to deter pests and attract some pollinators in. Now the fourth tree here is pear trees. I love picking fresh pears right off the trees out in my yard. I've got a couple of them, and they finally started really producing the last couple years. And I definitely want to plant some more out by the garden. But around your pear trees, if you can contain it, which that's a huge if, mint works great, but you could also plant chives and nasturtiums to deter pests while attracting some pollinators. The fifth one is your plum trees. Now, with plum trees, you can plant garlic, chives, and comfrey to improve the soil and deter the pests. Our sixth pairing that will work great here in Zone 5B is your apricot trees. Pairing them with basil and tarragon to repel your pests, and yarrow or borage to attract the pollinators and beneficial insects. Now number 7, I'll bet you would have never thought of. And these trees take quite a while to grow. However, they are fantastic. And if you may already have some and you're looking for something that'll actually grow well around it, because a lot of things won't, we are talking about your black walnut trees. Despite their reputation, certain plants like pawpaw, elderberry, and wild grape thrive near black walnuts. These can attract pollinators and provide additional harvests. Now the 8th tree on the list is your persimmon trees. You can pair those with comfrey to improve the soil fertility, and with chives or mint, again, huge warning on the mint, to deter pests. And then the 9th one is quince trees. Now these can be paired with marigolds to deter your pests, and nasturtiums to attract your pollinators. So hopefully that list of fruit trees sparks some ideas and maybe gives you a little inspiration on expanding beyond the vegetable garden a little bit. Now like I said earlier, I'm actually turning one of my entire blocks of 10 beds all into berry bushes, or at least 75% of it into berry bushes. So I really want to dive deep into a few companion planting pairings that'll work great for berry bushes. And I thought this would be great in combination with the fruit trees. So I wanted to include these right in the same episode. Now, let's focus on the fruitful relationships between berry bushes and their companions. Now the first one, we already have a bunch, but we are going to add quite a few more, and that's our raspberry bushes. Now planting garlic or onions nearby can deter pests, while yarrow can attract beneficial insects. And you could also plant some hyssop. With its blue-violet flowers, is also great for attracting in pollinators. Number 2 is blueberry bushes. Now blueberries are a real close tie with strawberries for my favorite berries. But on the bush is blueberries. They are my favorite, and they are so good for you. So pair blueberries with strawberries for ground cover and moisture retention. You can plant chives and thyme to deter pests, and lupin can help add nitrogen to the soil. So that is a great combination for blueberry bushes. The third one on the list is blackberry bushes. Now you can actually pair catnip or garlic to deter pests, and yarrow or cilantro to attract beneficial insects. You can also consider, of course, marigolds for pest control. The fourth berry bush is gooseberries. Now pairing these with chives can help deter your aphids, and companion planting with tansy can help deter pests and attract your beneficial insects in. And a berry bush list just wouldn't be complete if we didn't have elderberry. Now pairing elderberry bushes with mint can help deter your pests, and yarrow can help attract your beneficial insects. And for a beautiful combination, you could consider pairing elderberry with echinacea. Now while companion planting offers many benefits, it's essential to be mindful of a few things, right? Your companion plants really need to be compatible with your fruit tree's needs in terms of sunlight, water, and soil type. You'll also want to give enough space to prevent competition for nutrients and water. Now, timing your planting and harvesting can also be critical to ensuring the companions don't interfere with the fruit tree's needs. Now, we just did an entire episode, I believe on Friday, all about timing and how timing really is everything. So that's no different companion planting with fruit trees. So, as we've seen today and in this entire series, companion planting is all about creating mutually beneficial relationships in your garden. Not only can this practice enhance the growth, health, and productivity of your fruit trees and berry bushes, but it also contributes to a biodiverse, vibrant, and sustainable garden. Right? This is all about growing more food so we can feed more people. So remember, the key to successful companion planting is to consider the growing conditions, needs, and compatibilities of each plant. So if you're new to the podcast, be sure to check out our recent episodes where we've been diving deep into more advanced techniques and principles of companion planting, including trap cropping, three sisters planting techniques, and the triple threat combos, and the role of pollinator-friendly plants. So I'm really trying to pack as much value as possible into each one of these episodes for you guys. I don't want to waste your time. I really appreciate you tuning in and listening every week. So I want to make it as valuable as I absolutely can. So we are in the last week of May. It looks like the green light is on to get everything planted out, which is what I'm doing all week and into the weekend. I will still wait till this weekend probably to plant out my peppers and my tomatoes and my cucumbers. But everything else is getting planted in. I'm getting the rest of my beds ready, so I hope you're doing the same. But while we're on the subject of trees, what kind of tree can fit in your hand? A palm tree. So get out there, take advantage of the good weather, get your hands dirty, make somebody smile. We'll talk to you on Friday.